The Sky game has launched and opening fixtures in the Premier League are announced. So it's time for a first draft. Alright then, before we get into the team itself, it's really important, particularly in the Sky game, to understand the fixtures we've got. And as I said in the intro, we've got the opening fixtures in the Premier League that have been announced. And yeah, in Sky, if you're new to the game, sorry if you're an expert already and know this, but if you're new to the game, you get to select a captain every day there's a game of football. So Burnley against Man City, it's quite an obvious one really. Most players are going to be on Erling Haaland. On Saturday, there's plenty of players there that I think people will own and likely want to captain. Sunday, you need a Spurs, Chelsea or Liverpool player in order to cover captaincy for that one. I suggest Salah and Trent and Kane are going to be the most popular there. Man United and Wolves on Monday the 14th of August means you probably want to have a Man United player in your team. Friday the 18th, Nottingham Forest and Sheffield United. Sometimes skipping a single game day could be an option, so you could just leave that, or you could buy yourself a player from one of these teams. Maybe use a transfer or pick one from the outset. Saturday the 19th, again, most of those teams will already be covered. Sunday the 20th, we've got Villa and Everton and West Ham v Chelsea, which is not absolutely fantastic by any means. I think my draft's going to have a Chelsea player in it. Wait and see what that is. And that will nicely cover the captaincy. So check out who I'm going to pick for that one. But yeah, obviously we know there are plenty of options from Chelsea and the other teams. Monday the 21st of August has Crystal Palace and Arsenal. I think seeing their fixture, Forest at home on Saturday, means it's probably a good idea to start with an Arsenal player if you can. And then Friday the 25th, we've got Chelsea and Luton. So makes sense. You could probably use a transfer by that time, but for me at least, makes sense to have a Chelsea player for that game. Right then, let's have a look at making a draft. Now, the players that are grayed out are the players that I had in my team previously to make in this video. I think it was a perfectly decent draft, but we're going to go off the bat. I didn't know the fixtures going into this draft, so I think a couple of positions might change given that we know we probably need to own an Arsenal player from the outset. So let's have a look at the goalkeepers. I'm going to go through, not in detail, but I'm going to go through these positions in a bit of detail, just talking about the players that I like the look of at their prices. So Alisson at 8 million, I think could be a good option if Liverpool turn things on defensively. To start with, though, I think he's just too much money, basically. Ederson, not going anywhere near him. I think he doesn't really do anything apart from getting clean sheets. He doesn't really make saves bonus, and Man City didn't really actually keep that many clean sheets last year. Nick Pope, I think he's just a bit too much at 7.6 million, as is Ramsdale. De Gea's just left Man United. I think Raya, he's too expensive at 7.3 and he's likely on his way out. Same with Kepa and Martinez. Pickford, I think that's a bit too much to start with. Steele, I don't think he's actually going to be first choice at Brighton anyway. Flecken, the Brentford keeper, is the first one that I kind of fancy at 6.9 million. I think he's a decent option. I'm liking all these guys. Guaita at 6.6. For me, I think the best keeper in the game at the moment is the starting keeper for Crystal Palace. We'll find out in pre-season how that looks. But for me, obviously, Guaita and Johnston, they're priced very similarly, 6.6 and 6.5 million. If one of them emerges as the number one keeper during pre-season, then I think they're the best pick. For now, in this team, I'm going to go for Sam Johnston. I think he offers the best value of all the goalkeepers in the game to start. And it's not looking like we need a goalkeeper for captaincy at the moment. And from my perspective, in most fantasy football games and Sky, I like to pick myself a reasonably cheap goalkeeper that makes consistent saves bonus. And if you have a look at some of the points he got last season, he did pretty well, not only for clean sheets, but for saves bonus as well. So I like Sam Johnston as an option. So I'm going to go for him in goal. Having a look at the defence then. For me, Trent and Van Dijk, two perfectly decent options. I think as long as Trent plays in that inverted midfield position, or inverted fullback position in midfield, should I say, I think he's a really good option in the Sky. So he's a bit of a shoe-in for me. Ruben Diaz, I think he's going to be a nailed starter for Man City, so I really quite like the look of him. A lot of people I'm seeing are drafting in John Stones. The thing is with John Stones, if you just have a look at his history of points, obviously he's in the Man City team, which I do expect to be keeping clean sheets next season, but he didn't get a whole lot of passing bonus when he played in that midfield role. You know, 2 goals in those games, no clean sheets, no passing bonus, got passing tier 1 against West Ham, didn't get a clean sheet or any points against Fulham, passes tier 1 against Liverpool, tackles against Palace. You know, they wasn't the consistent sort of passing bonus that you'd want. So whilst he might be a really popular pick at the moment, let's just have a look at his percentage. Yeah, 14.7 players have got him. I'm not sure he's that good of an option, just because of the passing bonus, really. Scrolling down, I really like Luke Shaw as an option for the Man United captaincy, purely because the fixture is Wolves at home. Oh, we can't see the fixtures yet. I feel like Wolves are a pretty resolute defensive team and not amazing going forward. And I feel like 8.8 million for Shaw, and I'm giving a bit of teaser to the midfield already, but compared to 10.9 and 10.7 for Rashford and Bruno, I think he could be a better pick for them. So I'm going to select him as my third defender. I've missed quite a few of those players there. I think Trippier is just a bit too expensive at 9.1. Robertson could be a shout, but I think he's got a bit more competition in his position than Trent does. Obviously, Trent is pretty much the only right back who plays for Liverpool, but Robertson's got Tsimikas waiting in the wings. Anawi playing a little bit deeper, basically in 3 at the back when Trent goes into midfield. So not overly inspired by him as an option. I like Zinchenko. He was a bit of a king in Sky last season, really, when he was fit. Got a lot of passing bonus and clean sheets throughout the season. Bit of tackles here and there as well. He's a really good option. I see the game has just kicked me out of my team. That's fantastic. We'll just delete those players again. Although I imagine quite a few of these will be appearing in my draft anyway. Though we do need to give ourselves some Arsenal coverage, don't we, at some point? So I don't want to go too mad on these defenders. One of them was kind of spoiled already, though. I think Lewis Dunk is a bit of a shoo-in, really, purely because he gives you a bit of coverage for captaincy against Luton on the Saturday. And looking at his points last season, passing bonus pretty much every game. Even if they don't keep a whole lot of clean sheets, he's pretty much a baseline 5 points per game player. And yeah, Estupiñán is a good shout too, but I just feel like you want the consistency of passing bonus. And the rest of the defenders are priced relatively similarly to Dunk, but they don't get in the team as regularly. Dunk is the most solid Brighton option you can go for, and I think for that reason he's in my team. So I think Johnston, Dunk, Alexander-Arnold, Diaz and Shaw is a decent back line to kick things off with. Into the midfield, we'll go into the all clubs. So Salah, Chelsea away as his opening fixture. He could be a captain option. Yeah, I think he probably is the best captain option, to be honest, on that Sunday. And for that reason, I think I'm going to go for him. As we said, we need an Arsenal asset. We need an Arsenal asset for that opening. Those couple of, the game against Forest, you're probably going to want to captain your Arsenal player, and they have a single game day later on. There's not much between them, and Saka looks to be the best. I think I'm going to struggle to make a team that I'm happy with all these players in. But we're going to select Saka from the outset and see how we get on. Who else do I like from this lot? I think, obviously, the Arsenal midfielders are all due their own level of respect, right? But I just feel like Saka is the most nailed in his position. He's on the penalties, and he actually had, in my opinion, the better season of the 3. I know Odegaard did really well, and so did Martinelli, but Saka had more returns than both of them. So for that reason, I think I'm going to go for him. Son at 9.7 could be an exceptional price. I don't think I can justify picking him on the outset just because we don't need him for a captaincy. And I think just the way my team structure doesn't allow him to be in it. But I think he could well be a factor later on. Rodri is just safe as houses for bonus points. 191 points last season. He's a 200 points per season player, basically. And he scores 4 or 5 points a game. Passes tier 1, tier 2 pretty much every game. The odd tackle and goal here and there as well. How did he do last season? Yeah, 2 goals, 6 assists is nothing to turn your nose up at either. He had a really good season last year. Not sure about Maddison at that price, nor Havertz. Jota, potentially. Bowen's a bit too expensive. Sterling could be an option, but again, I wouldn't start with him. One player I really like as a captain option for Chelsea is Enzo Fernandez. If you look at his season last year, very similar to Rodri. Obviously signed in January, didn't he? So then he played half the season, but scored 92 points. Yeah, looked a really good option. Played pretty much every game. Well, he did start every game that Chelsea played towards the end of last season and got bonus points in all but 3 of them by the looks of it. So yeah, I think he's an exceptional option and I'm going to be going for him. Brian Mbeumo, like that price, could be the talisman for Brentford and on penalties. He's a bit of a shout in FPL at the moment as well. I think most players know about him. One guy I want to talk about a little bit is Declan Rice. I'm not sure I can squeeze him into this team at the moment. We'll see how we get on when we select the rest of the players. But 8.1 million for how his role is going to be in that Arsenal team. I mean, it's pretty sure it's nailed on. He's going to sign for Arsenal at this point. I think he could be a really good option. Tackles and passes are definitely on the cards at Arsenal. He got them even in the West Ham team. So I do think he has a chance of doing that for Arsenal. Remains to be seen exactly how that goes. But 8.1 million for a sort of bonus magnet midfielder, I think he could be a really good option. I think these Brighton boys are just a bit too expensive. Gibbs White, I think he's probably the best captain for that Forest and Sheffield United single game day. So we'll wait and see on that one. I think I'm going to use a transfer for it if I am at all. I don't think I'm going to start with him purely because he's got Arsenal away as his opening fixture. But I might be tempted to use a transfer to bring him in for that captaincy day. You could have Ndiaye from Sheffield United. Not going to go through all these players. I don't really think I'll be picking from this level, really. You could have Ndiaye from Sheffield United at 7.2 million. He will cover the captaincy against Nottingham Forest, and he's got Crystal Palace at home for the first fixture, and he's 7.2 million. So it's a nice price. He was Sheffield United's best player in the Championship, expected to be their best player in the Premier League. So I think we could start with him in our draft, ready for that Friday captaincy. How many we got in midfield now? So that's 4 and 4. I think that does us quite nicely so far. Up front, I think it's quite obvious you've got to really have Erling Haaland, haven't you? And then we're left with 7.2 million. Bit tricky, isn't it? What do we do with that 7.2 that we've got left? Do we pick an Arsenal defender over Saka, save ourselves some big cash? Someone like Zinchenko. And then go... I really like Mitrovic, but we'll talk about the strikers in a second. Maybe we go for Zinchenko for the Arsenal captaincies. And then pick a striker. Or could we go... Let's have a look. What can we get for 7.6? Can't really do much with that either, can we? Yeah, I think we're going to have to go for Zinchenko to cover us those Arsenal players. And then in the forwards, so just looking through the forwards, Haaland's obviously a shoe-in for any team. I don't really need to talk about him too much. Harry Kane obviously is a great option. He's priced very closely to Haaland, which I think is a bit too close compared to the fact that he nearly scored 30 points less than Haaland. Jesus at 10, I think it's a fair price for what he's going to get, but I'm not too keen. Gakpo, I think it's going to be the starting striker for Liverpool, or at least the starting striker in the Sky game for Liverpool. Whether or not that materialises to points, we'll wait and see. Darwin Núñez is a good price, same with Nkunku. Or Darwin Núñez is a good price, should he play? Nkunku, I think we're going to wait and see how he gets on. Watkins, I think is a fair price at 9.3. Tony will be an option at some point when he comes back. Wilson and Isak, fair enough. Not sure I'll be going anywhere near them. The one player I'm really liking the look of at the moment is Mitrovic at 8.3 million. There's a bit of a shortage of cheap, good strikers in the game, but I think Mitrovic ticks the box of that. I mean, looking at his last 3 games that he came back from his ban, came on as a sub against Southampton and scored 2 goals against Crystal Palace, and then had a penalty that he missed against Man United on the final day. So, yeah, I feel like pretty much every game he's played this season, he's looked dangerous, come close to scoring, or scored. So 8.3 million for a guy that got, 14 goals in 23 starts and 1 assist, I think is pretty good. So I'm going to go for Mitrovic, and it's just reset my team again. Fantastic. This might be a pain that you guys go through as well. So what did we say? We went Ndiaye. I'll just fix it. Ndiaye and Zinchenko, didn't we? So the fixtures haven't updated in the Sky game yet. So we don't have those to show, unfortunately. But we do have Arsenal Forest, so Captain Zinchenko or Dunk for that. Captain Haaland on Friday the 11th. Captain, well, you've got a choice. You could go Enzo Fernandez, not sure you would. Or Salah on Sunday the 13th of August. I think it's a Salah captaincy. And then on Monday the 14th, I've got Luke Shaw for the captain on that one. I think you are missing, obviously, there's a good chance that Rashford and Saka will be popular captains on the Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday and Monday, sorry. But I do think in order to build the most well-rounded and balanced team in Sky, you kind of need to have the defenders. That's certainly the way I'm seeing it at the moment. Be interested to know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, I think that does us for a draft, doesn't it? I'll switch back to the main screen and do a little outro now. Well, that's it. First little draft in Sky Sports Fantasy Football done, and this is on the new Sky channel as well, so that's quite exciting. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like, rate, and share with the SkyFF community. This is a new channel, so I want to try and communicate that to people, that we've separated this one a little bit from the main Golden Goal channel to keep the FPL and Sky content separate, to make sure it all gets recommended to the right people. Let me know what you think of my draft in the comments, any suggestions you have to improve it, what you think about like picking Rashford and Saka or the defenders instead. I mean, for me, I'm edging towards the defenders instead. I feel like in Sky at the moment, the defenders have been priced really quite cheaply, and this could be the season that the defenders make a comeback in the game. Obviously, remains to be seen how it all plays out, and of course, how pre-season plays out as well. Yeah, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'll try and do a few more Sky videos before the start of the season, and do one every week during. So yeah, catch you in the next one.